This week, science confirmed that your pet parrot has been talking about you behind your back, by name, with receipts. We also priced a 4-foot gremlin and lost a $6 million banana. Again. You are watching Outlier News, the week's most improbable findings, delivered with the enthusiasm they deserve. The data is real, the optimism is optional. We begin, as we so often do, with betrayal. In a careful study of 884 companion parrots, almost half of the owners reported that their bird uses actual human names. Not random squawks, not vague approximations, but specific names belonging to specific people living in the house. Across all of those birds, the researchers catalogued 802 separate phrases that each contained a name. And in dozens of the recordings, a parrot was clearly using that name as a label for one particular person or pet. Some even said their own name, purely to get attention. Your parrot has a file on you. Over in Beijing, a single small collectible toy just sold at auction for a little over 1 million yuan. Translated into ordinary money, that is roughly $150,000. The toy in question is a 4-foot-tall, mint green, very faintly fanged little gremlin. More than 1,000 separate bidders fought over it at a marathon sale that consisted of nothing but these particular dolls. When the gavel finally fell, it had become the single most expensive figure of its entire kind ever made. A human-sized plastic gremlin worth a house deposit, the gremlin was not consulted. At a live orchestral performance of the La La Land film score in Sydney, the keyboard player quite suddenly fell ill. And so, at the interval, rather than cancel the second half, the conductor simply turned around to face the paying audience and asked whether anyone out there could sight-read music. A university politics student sitting in row G slowly raised his hand. He plays the organ and also, for reasons entirely his own, the bagpipes. They walked him up, sat him at the keyboard, and he finished the entire show. The audience lost its mind. Somewhere there is a resume nobody will ever quite believe. A team of engineers built a genuinely working material out of nothing but thousands of tiny staple-shaped particles. Tangled loosely together, the heap behaves like a real solid. It is strong, it is surprisingly tough, and it will happily hold up a heavy weight with no glue and no binding whatsoever. Then they hit the very same pile with one precise pattern of vibration, and the entire structure quietly unlocks and pours away like a liquid. Solid when you happen to want a beam, and liquid the instant you want a puddle. Nothing added, nothing removed. They call it a metamaterial. I call it suspicious. A couple getting married in Melbourne genuinely could not agree on whose surname the new household ought to keep. So, rather than argue about it quietly for the next several decades, they decided to settle the whole question live at their own wedding reception with a 5-event tournament between the two families. The chosen events were a tug-of-war, a potato sack race, a soccer shootout, a competitive twerk contest, and a deciding round of Giant Connect 4. 2 surnames entered, and an entire lifetime of paperwork rode on the result. The groom's side won. The bride, by every available account, is completely fine with it. Paleontologists have just named a brand new ancient crocodile, and they have chosen to call it Crocodilus lucivinator, which translates, a little ominously, into Lucy's hunter. It measured a full 15 feet long, weighed as much as 1,300 pounds, and, simply to complete the nightmare, it also had horns. It lived in Ethiopia around 3 million years ago, which is the exact same time and place as Lucy, our most famous early ancestor. That makes this single-horned crocodile the apex predator of her whole world, ranked above lions and hyenas. Every story about bravely walking upright came with a 15-foot footnote. And finally, as ever, the art world. Maurizio Catalan's notorious piece Comedian, which is very literally a single banana duct taped to a wall, has now been stolen yet again. This time, the work disappeared from a museum in the city of Metz in northern France. The museum staff responded by calmly taping a brand new banana straight back onto the wall because the artwork was never actually the banana. The real value lives entirely inside a certificate of authenticity. The fruit is simply fruit. They filed a complaint against persons unknown. Somewhere a thief holds a banana worth 6 million and nothing. That was This Week in Things That Are Technically True. Subscribe to Outlier News, where the data is real and the optimism is optional. I will be here again next week, allegedly.